Ghosts can hurt you. This is a wild one from my childhood. I think I was about 7 years old and had just gotten on my first real bicycle. I was allowed to ride it on my street only, but you know how kids are, and soon I was wrapping around to the end of the side streets. I met this little girl on another bicycle. She looked to be about the same age as me. Somehow we started throwing rocks down the street to see who could throw the furthest, and she said to me, "I bet you can't hit that lamp over there," as she pointed to a very fancy lamp on someone's walkway. Well, I took that dare, pulled my arm back, and let go. I hit it all right, shattered the glass all over the sidewalk. Immediately, the front door of the house flew open and an old lady came out yelling, "Why did you do that?" I turned to look for the little girl and she had already pedaled off. I took off in the other direction back to my house and didn't tell anyone. Now, I didn't have my own room and I had to sleep on Grandma's couch. Long story. She had one rule: turn off the TV before you fall asleep. If not, you lose privileges. She went through the Great Depression, so she was tight about everything. So everyone went to bed upstairs and it was only me downstairs on the couch under my blanket. I always had trouble sleeping in that house, so I would watch TV late into the night. All of a sudden, the TV went off. Now, it was not a remote control TV, just a 19-inch RCA color, but I could still see that the power was on outside the house and the electric clock was ticking. Within seconds, a figure appeared to be coming out of Grandma's curio cabinet that was to the right of the TV. I could see a woman's form and it was walking towards me. I was terrified. I ducked under my blanket and covered my head. I heard very loudly, "Why did you do that? Why did you break that lamp?" The sound was so loud in my right ear, like her mouth was up against the blanket. I was shaking like crazy and sweating. Then the ghost grabbed my right bicep and squeezed really hard and repeated, "Why did you do that?" Instantly the TV came back on and it was over. I spent the rest of the night under the blanket and would not even peep out. Sweat was pouring off me because it was a hot summer night, but I was not turning that TV off. I thought that as long as it was on, the ghost wasn't coming back to hurt me again. I heard Grandma get up at dawn, walk downstairs, and call my name as she shut off the TV. "I thought I told you not to leave that TV on." I jumped up and hugged her and told her why it was on, and her jaw dropped and she said, "Oh, come on now, don't lie to me." Then I showed her my arm, which now had a big bruise on it. Suddenly she looked shocked for a moment. I thought surely she had to believe me now, but instead she looked down at the floor and said, "You were dreaming," and fell off the couch. "Don't leave the TV on again," and hurried into the kitchen. Mom then woke up and came downstairs. I ran to her and said, "Mom, I have to tell you something right now before you go into the kitchen. Come here." And I whispered to her about what happened. Mom nodded her head and said, "The reason Grandma got upset is you saw her mom, your great-grandmother, who you never got to meet. She passed away a long time ago and never left this house. We all see her at times. She was watching over you because she loves you." So, the bottom line is this. Ghosts can connect with you and physically harm you, as it happened to me. It was not a dream, and falling off the couch 12 inches to thick carpet isn't going to cause a giant bruise. After reading this, I had two questions. First, did you see the girl pedal away, or did you just turn around to find that she had disappeared? And was there anything off about this girl, or do you think that she was unrelated to all the activity? Second, did the TV turn off normally, or was there anything unusual about it turning off and back on? The storyteller responded, "I did see the little girl pedal off. The TV had a push-pull switch and no remote. The power was still on in the room because I could hear the clock ticking in the corner and the streetlight was still shining through the window. The TV came back on as soon as the ghost left. I would say it was all of 60 seconds, but I never came out from under the blanket until I heard Grandma coming down the stairs in the morning. I was soaked with sweat, it was so hot under there. For this entity to be so upset about the damage to the lamp, it would suggest that she was somehow connected to it, perhaps even a previous owner. The mother and grandmother insist it was the storyteller's great-grandmother. Maybe she had some connection to the lamp. If not, and the entity is the great-grandmother, that would suggest she has some sort of wide-reaching purview of at least the whole neighborhood, or maybe anyone closely related to her. And then she wanted to reprimand the storyteller, which is an intriguing thought on the nature of ghosts and how they can affect people. I think my mom meant it as she was watching over me and correcting my bad behavior. Gotta tell you, I didn't break any more lights after that, and I also never saw her again. Mom also told me the story about how she heard lots of banging downstairs around midnight and came down to see the kitchen cabinet doors opening and slamming. Not one at a time, but all of them. This happened years earlier. I have to agree with your mom. You had a visitation. Your great-grandmother was angry that you misbehaved and broke that light. She was scolding you. Yeah, that's all it was, because it never happened again. I was in Galveston, Texas, and my mom took me on a ghost tour since there wasn't much else for us to do. I thought it was the stupidest thing ever and spent the whole night being an angsty teen, rolling my eyes at everything. We went to this bar that used to be a brothel, and they said that the ghosts of the women would try and scare the women that came to the bar. Of course, I rolled my eyes again and stood in the corner. My mom went to the bar to get a drink while I hung out and waited for her to finish. I was a few steps away from anyone else and from the wall, looking at my phone, when something yanked my hair so hard I fell backwards and landed on the floor. Immediately, I got up and yelled to my mom that I was going to go wait outside. She laughed at me the whole walk back to the hotel after I told her what happened and why I ran out. But it still gives me goosebumps whenever I think about it, and this was 12 years ago. I was touched by something while half asleep. She woke me up without a word. Hey everyone, I never posted an experience like this before, but it's something that stayed with me since it happened in 2021. It was around 8 p.m., and I was lying sideways on my bed with my eyes closed. I wasn't asleep yet, just in that floaty, half-daydream state. I could clearly hear my parents arguing in the other room, nothing out of the ordinary so far. Then, suddenly, I felt it. A woman's finger gently pressed against my shoulder, followed by a faint breath on my skin. Not imagined, not vague, I felt it. I knew it wasn't part of the dream. Then came the heaviness. I realized I was almost paralyzed. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. I wasn't fully asleep, but my body was locked down. I didn't feel outright terror, but I definitely felt watched. Then, and this is the part that still gives me the chills, my mom came into the room and woke me up. I hadn't made a sound, I hadn't called for help, but somehow she just knew. She told me that something felt off. To this day, I don't know how or why she sensed it. I'm still not sure what that presence was. Spirit, energy, shadow, or maybe even a part of me. But the timing, the physical feeling, the almost paralysis, and my mother's sudden instinct to check on me, it all lines up too perfectly to ignore. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Was this just sleep paralysis or something more? Did your mom say anything else about the incident at the time she came up or after? Is there a chance that in your state of paralysis you did make some grumbling noises that you weren't aware of, and that's what your mom heard? Nope, nothing. She just said that she felt something was off, and that was it. Initially, a story like this might just seem like something to write off as sleep paralysis or just a dream. It really does seem like textbook sleep paralysis. However, what intrigues me is the strange coincidence of the storyteller's mother appearing at the right moment, suggesting there was something extraordinary in the air that called her into that room. There are so many things that we have yet to explain, more than we even realize, and maybe some kind of sixth sense is one of those mysteries that hasn't been revealed. This was Dante Calvino. Let me know what you thought of the format for these stories, or if you have one of your own to tell. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more mystery every week.